Okay, so I suppose that to start with is really just to understand where were you when we started?
When we started, I was in a huge transition period in my life. I just finished a job where I had poured my heart and soul into it, like growing somebody else's business. And then overnight, I'd lost my job and I'd spent 2 weeks out at home quickly starting my own new business. But I was just working all day, all night, not really sure where it was going. Um, and then I met Elika at a Launchpad event. And when she first spoke, I was like, oh my gosh, I just want to go and give this girl a hug. And I was really happy that after like our breakout event, she came and approached me and said, you know what, I can really help you. And then I started a call with Elika and I was like, yeah, I think this is what I need moving forward. So when I first met Elika, I think I just lacked clarity, confidence, just any sort of vision of what I wanted for myself in life.
Mm. So what would you say was your biggest fear or even doubt or insecurity before we started working together?
My biggest fear, doubt, or insecurity. The biggest doubt was probably just lack of trust in myself and just inability to, well, not necessarily inability, but just not listening to my gut and what my body was telling me and what my feelings um, were telling me. And so suppressing all of that was stopping me from achieving what I actually wanted to achieve. And it was actually making me quite sick as well.
Yeah. And so from the experience that you've had from working together, what would you say were your top three results?
So I think that first session that I had with Alika was really, really important because we addressed what was called soul wounds. And so we kind of looked back into my past, which I'd done before with like psychotherapists, but this was like a really like, okay, quick zoom straight away into like what do we need to look at. And I realized that there were three things that were probably holding me back. One of them was lack of trust in myself. One, lack of putting boundaries up. Um, and two, I can't remember what the third one was. Trust boundaries
Of that. That
and
means you
something
cleared it.
else.
You cleared it.
Yeah, yeah, there was something else, but yeah, obviously that's not so much of a problem these days. And so I think that was the biggest thing, and learning, okay, when when does this keep happening? What can I, well, first of all, recognizing that those things are happening, what can I do about it? And then at the beginning, I wasn't able to kind of help myself or find my way through. And so it was that ability to just contact Alika at any point and say, okay, this has happened. And for her to kind of hold my hand, kind of coach me through that, and then eventually start to build that confidence in myself at handling these situations.
Mm.
And also learning that these were situations that needed to happen to me because it was teaching me a lesson. Um, yeah, and so they were valuable. It wasn't like they were negative experiences, but it was just something that it was a teaching moment for me.
Mm, beautiful. So, what do you appreciate? Maybe you could share about me that you think others may not be able to see.
Um, yeah. So I think sometimes maybe like the title of like energy optimization coach, some people may be a bit like, oh, what's that? Or that sounds a bit woo woo. And so a lot of times I've been talking to my clients because every time I'm teaching, I'm always talking about my life. I'm always like, oh, my coach. And they're like, oh, you got a life coach. I'm like, well, kind of. I'm like, oh, you got a business coach. Kind of. I've kind of got like a nutritionist. Kind of. So I think what people just don't understand or may not understand about Lika is the fact that you have invested so much time and so much money in yourself. And like in that first meeting I had with you, that you said you're able to just fast track people through these processes. And so I was a little bit skeptical at the beginning, like, oh my gosh, okay, I've got to pay for 12 weeks up front. And then within 12 weeks, I'm going to see something. But I really did. The fact that you're able to just show me, okay, what was going on with my life, and just tell me point blank. I think sometimes maybe therapists don't do that. You were just so like on point. If I'd complained about my husband and said, oh, he's complaining I'm not being a good enough mum, and you're like, he's right. So what? But it was true. I needed to hear that and then figure out that actually he wanted the best for me, and he wasn't seeing the best version of myself that he'd seen before. Um, so in that way, and then you're helping me with business, but also not just like, oh, like a business coach, and this is how you can do this to increase your revenue. It's actually figuring out, okay, like what do I want in this life? What works for me? And actually learning to step back and creating space, because I was pouring my heart out, giving my energy to everybody, but I had nothing left for myself or my family, my kids, my husband. And so that was creating a lot of problems at home. And then I was getting exhaustion, burnout. I mean, just to sum it up, like you can just, Alika's just able to help you with literally everything. So, your personal life, your work life, your exercise, or not even just exercise, but like your movement programs, your nutrition. You've got a whole health concierge of different people that you've got on tap, that you can see, that massive network that you have, which is also extremely, extremely valuable.
Yeah, thank you. So what would you say to someone who is considering coming on the health concierge, but maybe doesn't have either, or their belief is they don't have the time or to invest?
Okay. Well, the time is just not really an excuse. I had no time. And in fact, every session I was left with homework or things to do, but it's not like I had to do a certain amount every week. It was like I just met with Elika every couple of weeks when things happen. I spoke to her, but it wasn't like, oh, I had to do everything within the 12 weeks. I was kind of given these tools that I can now continue to use throughout the rest of my life. And even though that the program's ended, there's still every week a meeting every Tuesday that can join. And there's also options to continue to see Elika, book in whenever I like as well. So I love that option, because I'm sure I'll want to continue. And what else? Sorry, what was the other part of the question?
It was finance or time. That's people's main objection.
Oh yeah, time and then finances. So again, I was literally a freelance Pilates instructor at a certain place before, just launched my own like startup. I did not have a massive amount of cash. So for me, investing all of that upfront was actually really nerve-wracking. I think the next day I ended up having a really bad headache because I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But I can say it's well worth it, because of the amount of money I've spent already on seeing other psychologists or doctors, or like for all the things I've had for chronic pain, like the neurologist, the pain specialists, all the co-pays I have to spend on all the medications they give at me. Yeah, or also all nutritionists I've seen. I've just spent like a crazy amount of money. If I don't even know to date on what I've spent, even in terms of what you'd spend to see a personal trainer or a physiotherapist. It's just like, yeah, nuts. So actually, if you think about it, the value you're getting for that money that you spend up front, it's definitely worth every penny.